On today's cheat sheet, we're talking bullies at the studio, joining a company, and skipping college. Is it worth it? Hey everybody, this is Preston Miller, and this is the Dance Parent Cheat Sheet. Welcome, day 2. We're still in quarantine. I am still in my dad's office. I don't know about you, but my dad was a Star Trek guy. I don't know for the parents or the kids out there that have parents that were Star Trek fans. Live long and prosper. It's the house I grew up in. I hope everybody's been doing well, getting a lot of family time in, going on walks, finding ways to stay healthy. This is a crazy time, which brings a lot of new questions that need to be answered and new programming that institutions have to figure out and ballet companies have to figure out, and everyone's trying to figure this thing out, including the dance parents. So let's get into it.
Stephanie Richardson asks, my daughter comes home from the dance studio every day on the verge of tears. It sounds like she's getting bullied at the studio, but she won't let me say anything about it. She says that it's just the way that it is. What should I do?
Stephanie, this breaks my heart to hear, and I hear it far too often from dance parents because they pick their kid home from they pick their kid up from dance, and the kid gets in the car and they ask, how are you doing? And immediately the kid bursts into tears. And that, for a certain age group, is the day-to-day if you are not in a healthy studio environment. That is not the average. That's not every day. That should not be what happens the majority of the time that you pick your kid up. They shouldn't be bullied so much at the dance studio and picked on and made to feel as if they're inadequate when they go to the dance studio. You got to think about it. They're probably spending somewhere between 3 to 6 hours a day at this dance studio. That's a lot of time every day that someone else is feeding into your kid. And they're either feeding positivity, greatness, insecurity, confidence, negativity. They're feeding one of those things, and you want to make sure that it's always positive. It's always on the positive spectrum. Even when they're doing something wrong, they should be receiving notes with positive criticism and constructive criticism, as opposed to being made to feel inadequate because they can only do 2 pirouettes. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, but yet I see it a lot, where dance teachers or directors who have their own insecurities built up start to take it out on these kids just because they know that the kids want to be there and they'll continue to show up. And that does not create a healthy environment. That does not create a healthy individual. It does not create a healthy relationship with dance. Right now, your daughter gets in the car and cries when you ask her. But in a year, in a few weeks, in a few months, that reaction will change and she'll grow out of that reaction. We want to make sure that when she grows out of that reaction of just crying, she doesn't pick up a negative reaction of becoming a bully herself or starting to hurt herself because she genuinely believes she's inadequate. A positive environment is more important than a great dance place. You want to make sure that whoever is sewing into your kid is sewing in positivity, greatness, and nothing but the best, because you cannot be a great artist and be a shitty human being. They just don't go together.
Justine Trubisky asks, I'm graduating from SAB this year, and I wasn't offered a spot in the company. I really want to dance for New York City Ballet. What should I do?
Oh, Justine, congratulations on graduating from SAB. That's a big deal. You probably went there when you were younger and moved away from home if you're not from New York, which is a big deal. You've probably grown up a lot over the last couple of years, so let's just celebrate that for a second. Congrats. This graduating from school and going into a company business is a really hard transition and jump to make, and unfortunately, big schools and institutions don't if you go to that school, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be in that company. And this happens for a lot of people, and so you really need to look at your cards right now. Are you in a position where you have a mentor or a teacher or a faculty member or a ballet master or mistress at New York City Ballet that is fond of you and can give you some real information? If so, I would go to them and I would ask them, Well, I know it didn't happen this year, but what are some of the things I can work on? Is this a possibility for next year? What's the reality of this? You want to make sure that you're not just living in your dream of, I want to be in New York City Ballet, because now it's time for the dream to become reality. So you want to get some real information. So ask the people who have the information, how realistic is it? They should be able to give you a real answer. And if they come back and they tell you that this isn't the place for you, you need to really wrap your mind around that, because I've seen so many students turn into professionals, turn into grown adults who are hanging around an institution because they want to be in that place, and it's clearly never going to happen. And so they miss out on all these other great opportunities that could have gotten them paid more, that could have gotten them more exposure, that they might have even enjoyed more, but they just couldn't see themselves doing it because they were hanging on to this dream. So we need to find out, is the dream a reality? Are they waiting for you to come in? Are they waiting for you to grow and mature on certain things? They might even tell you they'd like to see you go dance somewhere else before they see you come back and dance for them. You need to get some real information so that you can find out, how tangible is your dream, or do you need to start to stretch your dream to include where you are right now and not where you were a couple years ago when you made that dream?
Peter Swain asks, my daughter is 18 and really wants to go to a dance company instead of college. I want her to be happy, and I understand the college path and think that's best for her. Should I make her go to college, or is there a future in skipping college for a company?
Peter, that is a great question. And the short answer is yes. There is a future if you skip college and go straight into a company. Let's get all the initial things out of the way, right? Like, you can dance while you're young. College will still be there for you when you come back to it. If you're in classical ballet, going to college is not as great as trying to get right into a company. If you're not in classical ballet, those rules change significantly. If you're in modern dance, it's almost better to go to a company because you give your body more time to develop, to get the muscle mass, to be able to build habits of taking care of yourself, learning how to eat right. Most of the time when you're 18, you graduate high school, you still haven't learned how to eat right. So then if you jump into a very rigorous professional schedule, your body's going to have a hard time adjusting, and you're going to be learning lessons the hard way. Whereas if you go to college, you get an opportunity to learn some of those lessons. It still might not be easy, but you get to learn those lessons. That's literally that's literally what you're there to do. In general, I've seen dancers that go to college, hate it, leave, and find success away from college. I've seen dancers go to college, love it. They were terrible dancers when they got to college, but by the time they left, they were amazing dancers, and now they have amazing careers. I think it's about trying to figure out what it is that your daughter wants. For instance, if she wants to have a family, if having a family is important to her, when does she want to have that family? At what season of her life does she see herself having that family? Because that would determine whether she goes to a company now or whether she goes to a company later. This is the time to be sitting with your daughter and having a lot of personal conversations, professional conversations. Try to figure out what her goals are in both sectors so that you can figure out what the best decision is. It's got to be rational. It can't just be based on what I want or what you want. It's got to be based on what makes sense. But yes, there's a path in college, just like there's a path in companies. It's more about what's going to fit your lifestyle and what you're looking for out of life. Remember, this isn't about getting there fastest. This is about having the best quality of life throughout your entire life. That's the goal. And that's a perfect place to wrap up. This has been a great Dance Parent Cheat Sheet. I'm loving this. I'm loving answering the questions, getting the information right to you. I hope that you're enjoying it. Please send me your questions, any questions that you have, whether you're a dancer, dance teacher, dance parent. Send me anything that you'd like some insight on. Or if you already have the insight and you just want to see what I would say, send me your questions to @TDA Coach. If you keep sending me your questions, I'll keep answering them.